You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
Yeah, it's nice to have you in studio. Yep. Nice. Hanging out with Deke. Deke's getting big, my dog, huh?
Deke's getting big.
I told him not to rough you up because the last thing I need him to do is knock over a lawyer. I don't mind him dancing through coworkers, but could you take my dog from me? Would you do that like some kind of a Disney character? Like an evil person in a Disney movie? You'd need my dog taken away from me?
As part of the lawsuit?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those types of justices where your dog bites me, so I get to keep your dog.
Yep, something like that. It could work out. This guy's crafty enough.
I like Deke. I'll take Deke.
We're going to talk to, I think, the most entertaining question, and I'm fascinated to know the answer to this one. Citizen Wilson. I tracked him down the hill. Joined us about 9:30. He's the guy who bought an old town car limo and loves it. Wants to know if he can load his goofy friends in the back, drive them around as they can drink and stuff. I want to party with that guy.
I was going to say, I just want to be Wilson's friend.
Right?
Let's go.
He said, I asked him, I was like, man, we could come party with you. He was like, yeah, you and Dave jump in anytime.
It'd be great. Thanks, Wilson.
All right, maybe come pick us up later on today. We'll go out for some day drinking, Dave. Where do you want to start here today? Do you want to talk about that guy who's robbing banks to afford his rock and roll lifestyle? You want to hang out for that later or what? Where are we going?
Listen, I think this is one of those things. I haven't seen some of the news stories on this. Can you fill me in a little bit about this?
Yeah, for those who didn't hear the story, there was this guy, a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. He dressed like a wolf and was on TV a lot, and all the players took pictures with him, and he had Instagram, and he would go to all the games and have sweet seats, and he became kind of like a social media star because he was just living an awesome life. He claims he worked at a couple warehouses and had a nice apartment and would travel basically with the team, go all the home games. He'd be there. He'd go to all the road games over a couple of years. And turns out he was getting this done because he would rob banks when he was doing road trips. And it came to an end on his way to Houston this year to see the Chiefs and the Texans. Stopped by a bank in Oklahoma to rob and got busted. And it all kind of crumbled. It was funny, too, because it was his own social media that kind of brought him down because he disappeared before the game. And it was like, what happened to, I forget what his name was, the Chiefsy fan. And because he stopped posting and just kind of disappeared. So people started beating up the bushes. And someone found his mugshot. They're like, holy crap, he's been robbing banks.
Oh, my gosh.
So it's a great setup for a movie. We were talking about that. But I know there's got to be some limitations. He can't sell the rights to his felonious story, right? And then make money off of it. Or can he? I guess that's the question to you.
That's a really good question. And, I think about that sometimes, too, when you watch movies. I know the one that jumps to mind right now is Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
With Jordan, is it Balfour? Or I don't know if I have his name right.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. And then Leonardo DiCaprio plays this character in the movie. And, the guy had written a book about it. And now and I don't know if he's profiting from it, but I think a lot of the money that a person makes in that sense has to be used as restitution for the victims too.
Okay.
And so this is one of those things that's going to be probably controlled by perhaps laws in Oklahoma, for example. And I suspect that they might have a law that says you can't profit from your felonious conduct.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't mean that you can't commercialize it somehow. But then the question is there, for lack of a better word, a primary beneficiary of that gets to jump and supersede everybody else, including you, which would be the victims of your crimes.
And when it comes to that, is it the FDIC? Is it the teller that you stuck the fake gun to?
Well, if that teller has filed a civil lawsuit against this particular person, they may have received a judgment that is, in effect, a piece of paper until the teller is able to collect on the judgment. And so, any money that this person is making is going to go to satisfy that judgment. But also, criminally, the restitution, the bank's entitled to the restitution too, when they're out the money, assuming they didn't get their money back.
Right. And I know he spent a lot of it because he was doing this for a while.
Yeah.
And was living, like I said, quite the life. So this is still being sorted out too. He just, he's out on bail. They dropped his bail to like $80,000. He got out, and the guy had the stones then to petition the court to travel to Arizona to watch the Super Bowl.
I think the judge said no. Having not read the article, did the judge say no?
Yeah.
Think about this, the motivation to do this. If we don't have some kind of rules in place that limit what happens to the profits from commercializing your endeavors, what is to stop people from realizing, hey, I'm having a really hard time here making ends meet. But there's a great way to make ends meet, which is to commit felonies that are so spectacular
that someone wants to write a book about
that I can then turn around and gain the notoriety and then sell my story and then now make my millions. You just have to be...
You're painting a pretty ugly picture of humanity, David.
Well, I'm painting a pretty ugly picture of Chiefs fans. Hey! Let's be honest here.
Oh, you're lucky there's a lot of desk, and I don't like really working out too hard. I'd come over there.
Are you a Chiefs fan?
Yes.
Ross Ford, I have enjoyed knowing you.
No, I've seen you on Broncos stuff, and it hurts my soul.
I love the Broncos, man. Where were you born?
I was born in Denver, Colorado.
Okay, and then how much time did you spend living in Missouri or?
None.
Okay.
Absolutely none.
All right.
It goes back, I was Pacific Northwest for a few years, like in Alaska and Juneau, so that team was the Seahawks, and then when I was in junior high, my team was the Seahawks. We had the Seahawks logo.
Okay, that makes sense.
I became a Seahawks fan. I fell in love with a quarterback named Dave Craig.
Yeah.
They screwed him over, and they sold him out, and the Chiefs picked him up. And that's when I packed my bags and became a Chiefs fan. 91, 90, something like that.
This is back when Seattle was still part of the AFC West.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. No, and that's one of the reasons I really like Seattle. Is I'm a big AFC West fan. So, by the way, I was pulling for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Hey, good. We pulled it off for you.
But 99.9% of the time, I'm a Broncos fan.
I understand.
Well, I'm 100% of the time a Broncos fan. But if the Broncos aren't playing, then I'll pull for AFC
too,
West.
obviously, my hometown being Denver, they tried to force the Broncos on me. But as a kid, the orange and stupid blue was just not my thing. I couldn't wear that gross jacket.
I kind of understand. I had a 4-month window where I was a Redskins fan back when they were the Redskins before the Commanders, and we were playing in the Super Bowl against the Broncos. And my dad was so disappointed in me because I said, "Dad, I'm pulling for the Redskins." He said, "Son," he said, but we're a Broncos family. We're living in La Junta, Colorado. I mean, you can't get more Broncos country than La Junta.
They give you the old pep speech.
Well, I'll tell you what, he brought home these AFC Championship T-shirts for my sister and me, and my sister baked a Broncos cake, and here I am rooting for Doug Williams, and I still feel horrible about that.
A funny tie to that too. It goes back. That was the first football game I ever lost money on. It was like an 8th grade or something like that, and there's maybe 9th grade, and there's like some dumb kid that was like a senior, but he was in our math class still.
Okay, your circle of friends.
And so I was like, he was talking about the Redskins, and they were whoop on the Broncos, and I put $10 on the Broncos. I was like, no way, the Broncos are going to win. And they did not win. If you remember correctly, they got beaten like a narc at a biker rally.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
In that Super Bowl. So I remember that dummy just taking my $10.
You know what I made?
That might have burned my Bronco bridge right there, too.
I made a bet on this Super Bowl. 6-pack of beer with my plumber. And because he was sure that the Eagles were going to win, I said, "No, it's going to be the Chiefs, man. It's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes." So I've got a 6-pack of Compass IPA coming my way.
Very nice. Yeah, let us know. Let us know if he doesn't pay up. I know a lawyer.
Yeah, I do too.
We can get on him.
Dad,
right. Sorry, that was a little sidebar. We need to get legal here.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, we're going to track down our man, Wilson with the limo here later in the hour. Up next, though, let's talk about local business that does garage doors. They do payment plans. Someone signed a contract, got the door, now not paying, not answering calls. What do? I legally should just be able to go and rip their door back, but I know they can't do that. We'll find out. We'll pick it up next. The Law Frog, Dave McDivitt, in the house here at Kilo.
You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
Let's get to our first question, the email question from citizen Nick. Nick runs a small garage door business, and they offer payment plans. One customer signed a payment plan, made a deposit, received the product, and now guess what? Not paying the payments, not answering the phone calls. What legal options do we have to either get them to pay or get our product back? I mentioned, I can't believe you didn't hear about the case. A local contractor went nuts when someone didn't pay for a bathroom job, and he went and hammered it all up. And,
it's just unbelievable to think about that.
Just get the rage. I'm sure it felt good at the time, but I know he lost his ass in court. So
yeah, you can't do that, and there are mechanisms to get paid. So yes, I think.
What do you do? Well, I think they have a contract.
They've got a contract. Yeah. So let's make a few assumptions here that they have a valid contract, that they, obviously they've delivered the product, and they have and the purchasers have an obligation now to make good on that contract. So, for the business, there are certain mechanisms that they can take to try to collect on that, to include involving a debt collection agency to come in and help collect on that too. Now, there's going to be a fee for them to do that.
That's the thing kind of sucks. I wonder what that is.
Yeah, they work on a percentage basis, a contingency fee. So if they're able to collect some of the money from the homeowners, I mean, there's a lot they can do by themselves too. And I say this a lot: start sending certified letters, communicate everything in writing.
Just got to set the table.
Just set the table. That's right. Let the purchasers know, hey, listen, here's what's still owed, and we're just attempting to get you to pay that. And you've missed the first installment or you've missed the second installment. So this is what's owed. This is what's back due, and this is what's remaining. There may be a provision in the contract that says that if they miss a certain amount of payments, then the garage door company can call it all in, for example, and say, look, now it's all due at once. They can take them to court over this. I don't know what the value of the garage door is, but it's probably
what is small claims? Let's say it's $3,000.
Yeah, exactly, because that's about. I mean, you can spend less than that. You can spend a little bit more, but I think you're spending less than $7,000. I think small claims court is about
$7,000 or less.
$7,500.
Okay.
So what you would
and that's
do,
an avenue they can explore themselves. You can do yourself, Nick, and file some of these things.
Keep in mind, you don't have to have a lawyer to file in any of these courts. Right? It just, small claims court is designed to make it easier for people who don't have a lawyer on smaller issues like this.
Right.
And I suspect that this would fall within that. And then the question is going to be, how do you ultimately collect from this person anyway? Because you can go to small claims court and you can get a judgment for the full value of what you've done. And let's just call it a $4,000 garage door, plus the labor, everything, and maybe interest. So you get a judgment saying that this person now owes you $4,000. You mean you already had a contract saying they owed you $4,000.
That sucks.
The question is, how are you going to collect on it? Yeah. So then you're back in the world of collecting on either a judgment or a contract. And what's nice about a court order is you're allowed to then convert that into a wage garnishment thing. You could put a lien on the house. There are other things that you can do.
That opens some doors for you?
It does open some doors, yep. And so, it depends on how much work they want to do themselves to try to do this. And again, you can bring in a collection agency to try to do it for you. It's just, there are pros and cons of doing them all of these different ways.
Right. I mean, if Nick's got a bunch of door jobs, he doesn't have time to run down and get all this stuff done. So it falls on you, Nick, in regards to what to do next. The inner lawyer in me says, Nick, just go to the house with a sawzall and a hammer and mess stuff up.
Stop.
Mess it up. Listen, I did go to Pikes Peak Community College. That's where I got my law degree.
I'll tell you what. Don't listen to Ross, Nick.
You go up there, Nick, and you say, give me back my door. No?
Give me back my money.
Give me back my money. That sucks. So just try to do something nice for a person. Can't afford the $4,000 up front. I'll help you out, pal. And then they just stop answering their
That's pretty common, though, for a lot of these companies to provide some kind of financing plan.
Dave McDivitt, our guest, the Law Frog in the house. We got a bunch more to conquer. We're going to talk to a guy who bought an old limo, wants to know if he can drive around and have his friends drink in the back, even though he's not a licensed limousine driver. What if he's got the stupid hat and stuff? We'll find out.
Great.
We'll find out. Let's get to Matt's question. And I mentioned child custody and this question are probably the two most commonly asked questions for this segment over the years. Felony, 10 years ago, cashing a bad check, bad decision leading to Matt's whole life basically being changed. And wants to know, how do I get my gun rights back? Give him the rundown, Dave.
Generally, Matt, it's difficult to get your gun rights back.
Difficult. If you're unless you know somebody who knows the governor.
And that's what I was going to say. This basically comes down to, can you get a pardon from the governor? And it's not impossible. There are avenues to take to file for clemency. I mean, there is a whole policy that you can, not a whole policy, a whole procedure that you go through to apply for pardon. But there's an executive clemency advisory board that reviews these pardon requests and then sends them up to the governor with suggestions of who should get a pardon. You get one of those, then you can get your gun back. But I will say, by the way, if you're going to do this and apply for it, you need to make sure that you include that you specifically want to make sure that your gun, your ability to own and possess a firearm is reinstated. Because some pardons, by the way, could specifically exclude it. So you get a pardon that says, I'm pardoning Ross Ford. However, Ross still can't have a gun. You still can't have a gun, Ross.
Wow.
So you've got to look for that. But yeah, felony is one of those things where there's a pretty hard and fast rule. You lose your gun rights. You face other felonies, by the way, if you're caught with a gun. So be very careful.
It does set the table for failing. You think about something like that, writing a bad check. Obviously, it was probably an expensive check to be felonious, right?
It could be. And the other thing, though, prosecutors are sometimes able to get something to stick. If I'm forecasting that Matt's going to commit another crime with a gun in his possession. But I've seen cases where, among other things, prosecutors charge, a felony in possession of a firearm, and the only charge that they're able to ultimately get to stick is that one. I mean, it is just kind of what it is. Are you a felon? Were you possessing a firearm? Now, you might have been doing something else that they arrest you for, and then that charge ends up getting dismissed because they don't have the evidence for that, but they're almost always going to have the evidence that you were a felon in possession.
Right.
So you got to, be very careful, Matt, that you're not trying to skirt the law, carrying a gun around. Follow the steps. There are websites there that explain how to go through applying for a pardon. Department of Corrections has these forms on their website.
And listen to all, too, if you find yourself facing a felony, something, you should probably fight pretty hard against, especially for a bad check.
Yeah.
It's probably some of the time they just like, hey, get this done quick, sign to this felony, and he did it, and he didn't realize the ramifications.
Yeah, there are some things. I mean, if owning and possessing a firearm is something that is important to you or you think will be in the future, as you're, contemplating a plea deal, something to consider.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's see here. We'll jump into a break here real quick, and then bounce back. We'll give our man Wilson a call, who wants to know about drinking in his sweet 89 Lincoln Town Car. Woo! Sounds like a fun dude. So we'll pick it up next. The Law Frog Dave McDivitt in the house here on the Kilo Morning Show.
You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
Wilson bought a work 1989 Lincoln Town Car. Sweet. Got it for $500. Quite a deal.
It is a deal.
Loves the thing. Does 0 to 60 in 2 to 3 minutes. Can comfortably take 6 friends, though, to local concerts and events. He put a La Cucaracha horn on it. That's not obnoxious.
I love this car.
And he knows that people can legally drink in the back of a limo. Is that true? I've looked around the internet for confirmation and mentions that it's legal, but can't find the exact law. So, yeah, can my buddies drink booze in the back of my non-licensed limo with the driver up front?
All right, here we go. Wilson, you there?
Wilson, the dude. What are you doing this morning, man?
I'm hanging out with Ross Ford on my phone.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for the question. You sound like an awesome dude. Have you something you always wanted to do, or you just see this limo and you're like, holy crap, I got to buy that?
I've used the line, it's okay, I'm a limo driver, a few times in my life, and then when the opportunity came to actually make that a reality, I had to say heck yes.
Is that from Dumb and Dumber?
Dumb and Dumber,
yeah. I think
it's okay before he falls on the tarmac.
Yeah, I'm a limo driver.
It's okay, I'm a limo driver, and then he falls in. Oh, that's great. Well, yeah, you got me. You had me at your car, and now with the Dumb and Dumber reference, I love you, Wilson.
So, Wilson, I'll tell you this, too. I have lived the life of the person in your back seat. I have had a buddy.
Fancy-ass lawyer.
Yeah. Listen, before I was married, so this was a number of years ago, I was a bachelor. A buddy of mine did the same thing. Bought an old limo.
What?
And there was a group of us, and he would drive his buddies around. Actually, sometimes we'd hire somebody. So that the guy who owned the limo wanted to be in the back drinking. And we ended up going up one time to some bars in Denver. And I was in the back. We were having a great time. We go to the bar. We were bar hopping. And pretty soon, the limo takes us to Shotgun Willie's, which is a strip club.
I'm familiar.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that, Wilson.
Right down the street from the Hooters.
Yeah. Well, so we end up there, and I'm there with another buddy of mine. I have a girlfriend at the time. He has a serious girlfriend. And I look at him like, I really don't want to be here. So we hire a taxi. This is before Uber or Lyft.
Yeah.
We hire a taxi to drive us down from Shotgun Willie's in Denver all the way down to South Colorado Springs.
Oh, man. What's the bill on that? Let's see. I'm going to say it was a $250 bill. What do you say, Wilson?
If it was 1993, I'm going to go with $60.
Oh, it wasn't quite that old, but it was probably close to $200. Wow. And my buddy and I split it, but like halfway through this trip, I'm thinking, geez, why did I left the strip club? And now I'm spending all this money on the back of
$200 to leave a strip club, David.
Back of a
I'm going to throw a flag, Mr. McDivitt.
Well, now, it's really funny because I spend a lot of time in Denver now, and there is a Chick-fil-A right next to Shotgun Willie's. So and my kids love Chick-fil-A, and they're sitting in the back seat, and this was around Christmas time, and we pull through the drive-thru, and now we're pinned between vehicles, and we're facing south, and right in front of us then is the marquee, the digital marquee for Shotgun Willie's, and it's got all these advertisements like
Taco
Tuesday, topless gift wrapping Thursdays, things like that. And my son's not paying attention. My daughter's 10 at the time. She said, Daddy, what is Shotgun Willie's? And so I have to explain to her what it is. And I'm explaining that there are women who will take their clothes off, and there are men who go there, usually men, sometimes women, but people go there. And she said, well, why would people want to do that? I said, well, honey, I don't know. Sometimes guys like to see women without their clothes on. She said, have you ever been there? And I said, well, honey, funny you should ask. I was in the back of a limo, but Daddy didn't want to be there, so Daddy got a cab ride home. And this is before I met your mommy. And then,
let me give you some legal advice, Mr. McDivitt. You could have pleaded the fifth there.
I could have, but let me give you some other advice.
You got lawyered, David.
My daughter is a better lawyer than I am. She would have gotten out of me at some point. So we're driving away from Chick-fil-A, and she said, because I told her, she said, well, who would they answer? I said, well, a lot of these women, but keep in mind, honey, a lot of these are really good women. They're very sweet. This is just a way for them to earn an income, and they like to perform in front of people, but they're all very sweet, and I wanted, blah, blah, blah. Finally, she said, so does Jenny's mom dance there? And I said, where did that come from? And Jenny lives in Colorado Springs, her friend Jenny. I said, where did that come from? She said, well, Jenny's mom is really sweet, and she cares about people, and she's really pretty. I said, well, Jenny's mom is all of those things, but Jenny's mom does not dance at Shotgun Willie's. At least I don't think so. Hey,
at least I don't think so. That's hilarious.
But I'm also thinking, so now, I'm not married. I don't have a girlfriend. I've got all these Christmas gifts that are stacked up at my house. This is a few months ago. I'm thinking maybe I really should take them up on their offer of the gift wrapping there at Shotgun Willie's. Like, is it free? I don't know. I have not done that. Oh, so back to you, Wilson, with your limo. I'm going to give you what I think is the answer, with this caveat, which is that I'm not 100% sure on this, because this does involve some complicated issues of licensing and regulations involving transportation of people for money. And so we have rules in Colorado, laws that govern public utility transportation issues. And limos typically have to abide by certain regulations if they're going to be transporting other people for money. There are certain regulations that dictate what they can and can't do. These regulations also dictate how old the limo can be. Your car is way too old to fall safely within the guidelines of this.
The word vintage, way too vintage.
Oh, I've got another vintage. You're bordering on antique with this thing. But let me tell you, you have to be really careful with this, because there is an absolute rule here that just says open containers are not allowed in vehicles in Colorado, with a carve-out, which is unless that vehicle is being driven for payment, basically, unless the passengers are paying passengers. So at first blush, you might say, well, this is a no-brainer then. Tony, Bob, John,
give me $1.
Give me $5. Give me $5. And we're good. We're copacetic, right? Whether I roll the window up or down, you guys are paying passengers. I don't think that what you're doing in by just asking your buddies to chip in to try to fall within the letter of that particular regulation is enough to save you from, because what you really want to try to do is say that you're a for-hire operator.
Yeah, but I'm not.
But you may not be, Wilson. And that's what I worry about. And especially if you are trucking along at 14 miles an hour, because your thing, it takes a good 7 minutes to get up to speed.
And honking the horn. Definitely got to be honking the horn.
You're like those videos where the cops pull over somebody who's clearly stoned, and they're just sitting there on the side of the road with their engine on, and they're hotboxing that car.
This whole thing reminds me of Cannonball Run. Remember, there's a couple they would drive in the back, and then the limo driver was a monkey. Do you remember that at all? when we were a kid?
I remember Cannonball Run, but I don't remember that.
I forget who it was. It was like Don Knotts or someone. They'd operate the car from the back of the limo, and the driver of the limo was a monkey.
Oh, I see.
So you pull over, and the cop would go up, "There's a monkey driving this car."
Yeah. I love Cannonball Run.
And, hey, another question for you, Wilson. When it comes to your license for the vehicle, could you apply for a working vehicle license, or is it just
commercial driver's license?
Yeah.
No, it's a registered vehicle. It's state of Colorado.
Just like a regular car. It has a regular plate, though. Doesn't have like one of those working plates.
Oh no, it has a I support aviation plate and a very cheesy. I don't know what kind of person would actually get a customized plate, but I got one.
Whoa, slow down! I've got a customized plate. I think it's great you did that.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Does it say Wilson? Is it your plate say Wilson? You're within the confines of the 7 letters. No, I don't answer. I'm not asking what your plate says. All right, I'm kidding. Listen, I think what you're doing is
and my social.
Yeah, and your social. That's right. What's your middle initial and where do you live? Wilson, I get what you're trying to do here. Like I said, I've lived it. I've been in the backseat of that limo, and hell, it might have been the same limo before you bought it.
What are you doing Friday night?
That's right. I got my kids Friday night. We're going gift wrapping it. Never mind.
Listen, those nice caring women at Shotgun Willie's are going to wrap your gifts. If you know what I mean. Hey-o.
Speechless, Ross. I'm speechless. I can't answer that. Cannot respond.
So,
I think the bottom line is you're probably not okay doing this.
Damn it.
But this is not something I don't practice this kind of law. I've never been confronted with this issue. And trust me, when I was in the back of the limo, I wasn't too worried. Because I do think, no, never mind.
The lawyer and me, and again, I got my degree at Pikes Peak Community College. You just do it, and if you have to settle it in court later, just let it go there.
All right, legal advice from Ross Ford. That's what I'm not going with.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Listen to my advice, and you will not own a gun or vote for the rest of your life. Thank you very much.
I've actually asked a few CSPD officers that were just chilling, and I was chilling next to them. We're just shooting the breeze. Hey, CSPD officer, do you know this law? And no, they didn't even know the law, and they just basically said, yeah, open container's bad, but if you're not causing trouble or swerving, you're not going to get pulled over.
Well, that's the thing. But, that's why I kind of joke about how fast your car is going. But, I mean, if you're just doing all the right things and you are not the one drinking, let's be very clear about this. You're not the one drinking.
Ooh, so if there are open containers, the open container people aren't in trouble?
No, all I'm saying is don't drink and drive. That's where I was going with this.
Okay, no, but the question now, I definitely have a new big question.
Who gets in trouble?
Do I hire the guy with a cardboard sign and say, hey, here's $20, drive us around for the night, and then if he gets in trouble, he gets in trouble, but all the open container people?
No, you all get in trouble. Everybody with an open container is going to get in trouble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I want my country back.
Man.
Yeah, so another question, and I'm not going to answer it right now, is do you get in trouble as the driver? If the people in the back seat have the open containers and you don't. And I think you need to be very careful because if there's an open container in the car, I mean, it's just going to cause a lot of trouble for you.
All right. Well, that sucks. I was rooting for you, Wilson.
Hey, Wilson, you asked if it's legal. I'm not telling you whether to do it or not.
Right.
I'm just saying I don't know that you're going to get a carve out here. All I am going to say very clearly is don't drink and drive.
Excellent advice. Way to say that on the air.
You're a champion.
I've done my duty.
Wilson, you're awesome, buddy. Thanks for checking in.
Love you, Ross. Thank you, Mr. Frog.
Take care.
See you Friday night.
Man, we'll see you Friday. So you can drive us to Shotgun Willie's. I've been there forever. Forever and ever. I did not run away from the place, though, by the way. I still got my man card.
I'll tell you what, I look back on that. Why? That's a lot of money. I spent a lot of money getting a cab ride back. If I waited another 45 minutes, I would have had a free ride back. And
if you just helped those poor struggling women with that $200, you would have had a great night. I guarantee you.
Ross, sometimes we just make bad decisions.
Oh, let's go back to this travel back in time. $200. You'd be like, making it rain.
Making it rain, man.
Making it rain.
Hey, look at that. Look at that big spender.
Oh, we're close to being done here. The Law Frog, Dave McDivitt, our guest, McDivitt Law. Settle the score. Hit forward, just 719-444-444444. Time for one more here. You want to do this EEOC. I can't
You're
believe this still
listening to the
exists.
Law Frog Radio
Well, we
Show.
talk about this all the time when it comes to racism and sexism
on
and
Kilo 94.3 FM.
It baffles me
Presented
because I'm just
by
not
McDivitt Law
in
Firm.
any circles that still run this way. But a lady named Jennifer checking in saying, I got a clear EEOC case. Former boss told her he can't stand women in position of power and other things that I'm sure are way worse than that. And then she was let go September. It says September 2023, but I assume it's end of last year. I've been trying to file with the state EEOC, but they require an appointment in order to be evaluated. Is there a faster, easier way? Since I never seem to get an appointment. So she's just trying to file a grievance against her scummy boss. Is that what the EEOC complaint is? Is that what that stands for? Equal Opportunity Complaint?
Opportunity Commission.
Oh, is that what it is? And so she wants to report this guy. What does she do?
Well, it sounds like she's already done it. You go online and you can file these complaints, and then they have a mechanism for following up with an appointment. You can schedule it. They do. I think they do have walk-in appointments too.
Huh.
So I don't know if this particular person's having trouble getting into the walk-in portion too. And then oftentimes I think if you're getting close to your deadline and you haven't been able to get in for the appointment, there may be a toll-free number you can use to contact them and try to schedule and hopefully talk to somebody or send an email to them too. I mean, you need to make every effort to make it look like you're taking it seriously. You're trying to contact them and you explain why you haven't been able to get an appointment. But I do think they take walk-in appointments.
And unfortunately, the words faster and easier apply to nothing the government does at all on every single level. There's nothing easy. There's nothing fast about it.
Except for busting you if you got open containers in the back of your limo.
Exactly. Thanks for busting your ass for drinking with your buddies. Okay, so check out the website. If you've already filed, then there should be an 800 number. And diligence, I'm sure, is also gets you to the front of the line, right? The old squeaky wheel gets the grease kind
That's
of
right.
thing. So just keep on punching?
I think so. Yeah, and obviously create a paper trail. The emails, that's really important. But I mean, if you want to take it seriously, you really need to try to get in there and get that appointment.
All right. I think we've done our damage here today, Mr. McDivitt. We've done our damage. Really wish that Wilson could get drunk with his friends in his new limousine, though. That's very disappointing here this
I've been
morning.
thinking about this too, Ross. I mean, the what does he get out of it? Let's say he's not the one drinking. He's going to these bars. He likes to drive them around. The more they drink in the back of his limo, the more belligerent they will probably get, the more demanding they will be of his time and his services. And I think the lines between the friendship lines start to get a little blurred, and they start demanding, okay, now you take us here, you take us there.
So it could turn into his nightmare.
Yeah, that's right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But if you just Rochambeau for it every night you go out, it's like, who's going to drive tonight? Who gets to get drunk? Kind of add some fun to the evening, right?
For 4 of 5.
4 to 5, right?
That's right.
Thank you for listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM, presented by McDivitt Law Firm.